Ars nova refers to a musical style which flourished in France and the Burgundian Low Countries in the late Middle Ages, more particularly in the period between the preparation of the Roman de Fauvel and the death of the composer Guillaume de Machaut in 1377. The term is sometimes used more generally to refer to all European polyphonic music of the 14th century. For instance, Italian Ars nova is sometimes used to denote the music of Francesco Landini and his compatriots. The Ars in Ars nova can be read as technique or style. The term was first used in two musical treatises titled Ars novae musicae by Johannes de Muris, and a collection of writings attributed to Philippe de Vitry often simply called Ars nova today. However, the term was only first used to describe an historical era by Johannes Wolff in 1904. The term Ars nova is often used in juxtaposition to another term, Ars antiqua, which refers to the music of the immediately preceding age, usually extending back to take in the period of Notre Dame polyphony. Roughly, then, the Ars antiqua is the music of the 13th century, and the Ars nova the music of the 14th. Many music histories use the terms in this more general sense. The period from the death of Machaut until the early 15th century, including the rhythmic innovations of the Ars subtilia, is sometimes considered part of the Ars nova and sometimes considered an independent period. Other musical periods and styles have at various times been called the New Art. However, in modern historiographical usage, it is restricted entirely to the period described above. Ars nova versus Ars antiqua. Stylistically, the music of the Ars nova differed from the preceding era in several ways. Developments in notation allowed notes to be written with greater independence of rhythm, shunning the limitations of the rhythmic modes which prevailed in the 13th century. Secular music acquired much of the polyphonic sophistication previously found only in sacred music, and new techniques and forms, such as isorhythm and the isorhythmic motet, became prevalent. The overall aesthetic effect of these changes was to create music of greater expressiveness and variety than had been the case in the 13th century. Indeed, the sudden historical change which occurred, with its startling new degree of musical expressiveness, can be likened to the introduction of perspective in painting, and it is useful to consider that the changes to the musical art in the period of the Ars nova were contemporary with the great early Renaissance revolutions in painting and literature. The most famous practitioner of the new musical style was Guillaume de Machaut, who also had a distinguished career as a canon at Reims Cathedral and as a poet. The Ars nova style is evident in his considerable body of motets, lay, violets, rondo, and ballades. Towards the end of the 14th century, a new stylistic school of composers and poets centered on Avignon in southern France developed. The highly mannered style of this period is often called the Ars subtilia, though some scholars choose to consider it a late development of the Ars nova rather than breaking it out as a separate school. This strange but interesting repertory of music, limited in geographical distribution, and clearly intended for performance by specialists for an audience of connoisseurs, is like an endnote to the entire Middle Ages discography. Chants douze I've musical. More of us is ensemble. France, Mandala, 1999. CD recording man 4946. Denkmäler alter Musik aus dem Codex Reina. Syntagma Musicum. Das alte Werk. Telefunken, 1979. LP recording 6.42357. Domna est la mandier, voice, harp, and portative organ. Paris. Aliena, 1987. CD recording Al 1019. La Fontaine Amoureuse, Poetry and Music of Guillaume de Machaut, Music for a While with Tom Clunies, narrator, Berkeley, 1750 Arch Records, 1977. LP recording 1773. Guillaume de Machaut, Guillaume's des Noms. Ensemble Gilles Binchois, Cantus, 2003. CD recording 9804. Guillaume de Machaut, La Messe de Nostradame und Motetin. James Bowman, Tom Sutcliffe, Count Tenors, Capella Antiqua München. Das alte Werk, Hamburg, Telefunken, 1970. LP recording 6.41125 as Guillaume de Machaut, La Messe de Nostradame, La Voix dit. Oxford Camerata, Hong Kong, Naxos, 2004. CD recording 8,553,833. Guillaume de Machaut, Messe de Notre-Dame, Ensemble Organum, als Harmonia Mundi, 1997. CD recording 901,590. Guillaume de Machaut, Messe de Notre-Dame, Le Lie de la Fontaine, Marfin est mon commencement, Hilliard Ensemble, London, Hyperion, 1989. Guillaume de Machaut, Motets, Hilliard Ensemble, Munich, ECM Records, 2004. Philippe de Vitry and the Ars Nova, Motets. Orlando Consort, Wootton Under Edge, Gloucester, England, Amin Ra, 1990. CD recording CD 49 Saudi Riyals. Philippe de Vitry, Motets and Amp Chansons. Sequentia Freiburg, Deutsche Harmonia Mundi, 1991. CD recording 77095-2 RC. Roman de Fauvel, Jean Bollery, Studio der Frühen Musik, Reflex, Station en Europäische Musik, Cologne, EMI, 1972. LP recording 1C06330103. Le Roman de Fauvel, Années d'acute M.A. Dominique Weiss, Boston Camerata and Ensemble Project Ars Nova, France, Ariato, 1995. CD recording 4509-96392-2. The Service of Venus and Mars, Music for the Knights of the Garter, 1340-1440. Gothic Voices, London, Hyperion, 1987. CD recording CDA 66238. The Spirit of England and France I. Music of the Late Middle Ages for Court and Church. Gothic Voices, London, Hyperion Records, 1994. CD recording CDA 66739. The Study of Love, French Songs and Motets of the 14th Century. Gothic Voices, London, Hyperion Records, 1992. CD recording CDA 66619.